En Puerto Rico, the main problem we have is que somos colonia. We're a colony. We're fighting for freedom because we will not be a slave nation forever. The struggle here is in the university. The struggle here is in the community. It's against the police and violence. It's against discrimination. It's against the crime against humanity on this beautiful Caribbean island. This is Panama, Vicente Alba, young lord, revolutionary always, from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Que viva Puerto Rico libre.
All right, welcome to our second show. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of issues. We're actually talking out of a basement right now because we were shut out of the place that we usually do our show. But today we're in a basement today, and we're a little more relaxed. So we're going to do more. We're going to talk about a lot of different issues today. You know, more of a freestyle show, like kind of like the last show, but you know, it's a special pre-election show because I know a lot of you out there might go vote or not vote. You know, and we're gonna be talking about that. So let's just set it off immediately. Just want to introduce my co-host Ojo. Say what's up, Ojo.
Hey, how you doing out there? How you doing?
Yeah, Ojo's pretty much prepared here. He's got a lot of articles he wants to speak on. So we're just gonna get cracking on this. So the first thing we want to talk about, we obviously got the elections going on, and a lot of people are gonna vote. You know, a lot of people are not gonna vote. So why don't we talk about that, you know, the people who vote versus the people who don't vote. Does voting make a difference? Does it make a difference? Does our vote, you know, count? And I'm first want to tell you that it doesn't, unless you conform to the, you know, the hegemonic narrative, unless you consider yourself somebody that believes that your vote, you know, is going to count in some material way. And again, we're talking about, you know, we come from the perspective of the poor and racialized. So a lot of it is not going to change. Just like, you know, we've been promised hope and change for 4 years. And, you know, nothing has really changed for the majority of people. It's gotten worse. So especially for black and brown folks, black and Latino folks. So what do you think about that, Ojo?
Hey, I agree with what Jose's saying, and I wanted to point out one thing is that right now, you know, we have an election coming up, as Jose previously stated, between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. And what if you guys noticed the third debate, they were agreeing on just about everything with foreign policy, among other things. But here's some other things that should be really, really taken into consideration, and people should really, really start thinking about. Black and brown unemployment. Black unemployment was at about 14.3%, the latest statistics. Latino unemployment, 10.4%. And in a lot of places like Atlanta, Chicago, in the inner cities, it's probably running as high as 50%. You have a lot of young black and brown males, a lot of them ex-offenders, and they have no future. They are legally discriminated against because of their ex-offender status. And no one's talking about this. No one's talking about the drug war. And what a failure it's been, and that black child poverty right now, and black and brown child poverty is at the highest rate nationwide since Lyndon Johnson was president and declared a war on poverty. No one's talking about that. Whether or not we face these facts, who are we voting for? Are we voting for Barack Obama because he's the lesser of two evils? Since when was America, a place that was prided itself on democracy, now reduced to the lesser of two evils? Come on. What do you think about that, Jose?
I think it's true. I think, you know, if America proposes to take care of those who work hard and those who quote unquote pull yourself up from your bootstraps, well, there's thousands of people pulling themselves up from their bootstraps every day, going to work, putting on their boots and working hard daily labor jobs, right? Retail jobs, and not getting any insurance, health insurance, not getting paid anymore. You know, getting the minimum wage, which right now, what is it, $8.25 or something like that, which is, you know, useless to somebody who's got kids, somebody who has to pay rent, somebody who has to pay bills. It's pretty much useless, you know. I mean, how can you afford to live on a wage that keeps you at the poverty level? And, you know, I just do not understand how, you know, voting can change that. You know, it has to be people united saying we've had enough. We've had enough of the rich getting richer and pretty much collecting the spoils and the wealth of people who struggle every day. So in form of taxes or in the form of stolen money, like the banks. You pretty much have the banks, just robbing people blind off of fees and so forth. And I think, again, if America proposes to be the land of the free and democracy, where is the democracy? Where is our input in who becomes president? The Electoral College obviously has the last word. So, where is our input? Where is our power? If you say voting is power, where is the power in our vote if the Electoral College is deciding? And if the majority is deciding, the majority of this country is, the majority of people who vote are professionals. They're usually white. So, where is our power in the vote? That's the question I want to ask. And to me, we still have no power. We have a blackface in the presidency, and supposedly we're living in some post-racial, land, fairy tale land, and you pretty much, I don't see the unicorns and fairies. What about you, Gojo?
I want to, second what Jose was just saying right there. Right now, especially I can give the example of Atlanta, Georgia, where MARTA, the Metro Atlantic Transit Authority, the Metro Regional Atlantic Transit Authority right now is in the process of going through privatization. Just like they're privatizing our schools, they want to privatize the transportation system in Atlanta. And this is being led by Atlanta's mayor, Kasim Reed. He's going along with this. And this is a system that was financed by the poor taxpayers of Atlanta. And now it's become privatized. They want to privatize it. And this is with the black mayor approving this and the black leaders in Atlanta. And this is just a growing, disturbing trend that's been going on. And this it's followed by the privatizing of our schools. Barack Obama and Romney are for privatization of schools. And what this has caused us to do, this has caused us to be in a position where we are using public resources and sending them to private sources, and they're privatizing our schools. They're standardizing our tests. How are our children going to learn to think critically? How are they going to know how to perceive history and their place in history, their identity? Through private sources? Do you think any corporate source wants to have people thinking, young children of color, black and brown, thinking critically? These are things we have to ask ourselves. Why would people want to be taking away the power of thought? It's such a critical time in our era. I'd like to ask Jose what he thinks about that.
Well, I mean, and that's what they've taken away from us since we've been colonized, since we've been put into a system where we have no rights, and we have no say, we have no identity. We're supposed to discard our identity, whether you're Puerto Rican, Mexican, Chilean, from Zimbabwe, from Tunisia. You have to pretty much discard your identity to become this so-called American. But what is an American? Traditionally, to be an American was defined by being a person descended from usually Northern Europe, right? And before that, it was a person of Anglo-Saxon descent, right? The original colonists that came here. But we have a global system that is a system of colonies, right? Of colonized people who pretty much every time they try to assert their identity, they're saying, "Oh, well, you don't want to be part of this nation. You don't want to be American, right?" But we are U.S. citizens. We're, if anything, Africans and indigenous people, Latinos, have been here for centuries. So, who is really an American? South Americans call themselves Americans, and we call ourselves Americans. And this is the critical thought that we have to put into kids' minds. If you have a privatized school system where they're going to decide what is in the curriculum, they're going to decide what is taught to the children. So if we're teaching, market fundamentals to children, how are you pretty much telling them who they are? You're telling them that they're just a market player, a consumer in this market. And what kind of power do you have when, a corporation has the power to hire and fire you, how much, power do you have in this market when you are the one that is on the bottom? You are the one that's working every day a retail job. You are the one that's, just a number, pretty much, without health care, without a say, without education. How can you even think critically? How can you even, vote for a presidency? You'll make bad decisions from the get-go because you don't know how the system works, and nobody's teaching you how the system works, and they don't want to teach you how the system works because they can capitalize off you making mistakes in the system. You do a mistake, you go to jail, they capitalize off of that. You make a mistake, you don't pay your bills, collection agencies come at you, they capitalize off of that. So, so this is our reality now. And what are we going to do about it? I don't see anybody. We have the Occupy movement. We have, certain, people waking up, people blogging, but the media still has a strong hold on our ideas, on our psychology, on how we think about things. Sometimes we don't even want to think about things. And that's how the media influences, that we just so tired of things, tired of politics and tired of, hearing certain issues that we just withdraw. That's how much power the media has. And we're withdrawing from something that we should be active in, the public space, We should have a voice, and people should be able to hear our voice. So where's the democracy in that? In that arena, where's the democracy in our everyday lives? It's missing. So when you say we live in a democratic society, I call foul. I say it's bullshit because the majority of the voices of the people get drowned out by the more powerful, the wealthy, and those who are considered elite, those that are considered privileged, those are considered lighter skinned, whatever is the branding that makes you feel that you're superior to others. You might have a voice and others might not have a voice. So where is the democracy in that? That's what I ask.
Hey, I want to add to that. I think this whole thing is a cradle to grave tactical move to complete the utter domination of those people, or those people who they term the other, as Jose was talking about, the racialization process. We control access to medical care. We control access to education. We privatize the schools, so we set a limit where schools become like a business. We run them like a business. Some people are going to learn things. They go to the schools which are college prep. Other people are going to learn things which they can translate to being better, efficient service people at McDonald's, Wendy's, or whatever you want to talk about, any upscale restaurant where they're cooking. They can learn the fundamental skills to be a good worker. These are all part of what we need to start understanding now. When we are in positions of dominance, i.e. the ruling class, I'm not going to talk all about class warfare now, but if it's in your interest to maintain your profit and your supremacy, i.e. Eurocentrism, whatever you want to call it, white supremacy, you have to socially reproduce known effects and causes so they carry on for generations. And when we take the public responsibility out of trying to make what the Constitution says, to promote the general welfare of the people, we promote the general welfare of corporations. What you're going to have is a miserable situation of reproduction of misery, poverty, injustice, racism. But oh no, we live in a post-racial society now. Barack Obama's a president. So now we have a black misleadership class. Oh, I'm not calling President Obama misleadership, but let's take a closer examination. What does he stand for? He stands for privatization of schools. He stands for other neoliberal concepts, such also as increasing army spending, increasing the apparatus of the national security state through his passage last year of the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, where he can lock anybody up for indefinite detention as long as he wants to because he deems them to be a threat. That is imperial. If you go back to Rome, the Emperor Augustus had these same type of powers. So you know what? The same way Rome moved from a republic after Caesar to Augustus to become an empire, we are witnessing the same thing here in this country. And we're witnessing it also through the effect of Congress has just about delegated all their authority to the president. I carry out bombing campaigns, i.e., okay, through NATO. Libya carried out a bombing campaign. He did not notify Congress. It was an act of war. They removed a recognized leader of a country, i.e. Libya, Muammar Gaddafi. But these kind of things are what I'm talking about, the move from republic to empire. We've witnessed it post 9/11. I think Jose's got some things to say about that.
Well, I just wanted to ask you, because we were talking about Libya a little earlier, and I just wanted to ask you, you had given the anthropological perspective on Muammar Gaddafi, on who he was, his identity, and I think I would like you to elaborate more on that, because I think it'll shed light on how the U.S. likes to promote regime change through proxy armies. But can you speak on who Muammar Gaddafi was and his identity?
Muammar Gaddafi was an Afro-Berber, which means that he had origins of African descent, and the Berber are a nomadic people in the Sahara Desert area. So and also this meant that he had close relations with sub-Saharan Africa, even though Libya is located on the Mediterranean in North Africa. The Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, they were extremely hostile to him. They used to refer to him as a king of Africa because he wanted to set up broad-based regional trade opportunities where Africa became economically integrated with Africa. What would the Western European Eurocentric colonial mind thought, led by the Washington Consensus, think about that? Oh no, we cannot have that happen. And that was the outcome that happened to Muammar Gaddafi approximately a year ago.
Okay, we're going to touch on that again, but we're going to take a little break. Ojo, what kind of music you want to hear? What do you want to hear?
Go ahead and play some old school hip hop.
Old school hip hop for sure, man. Okay, we'll be back.
Make 'em clap to this.
To show our appreciation for your support.
Make 'em clap to this.
Thank you, DJs.
Make 'em clap to this. 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 Said it before, I never let the mic magnetize me no more, but it's biting me, fighting me, inviting me to rhyme. I can't hold it back, I'm looking for the line, taking off my coat, clearing my throat. The rhyme will be kicking in till I hit my last note. My mind remains to find all kind of ideas. Self-esteem makes it seem like a thought took years to build, but still say a rhyme after the next one. Prepared, never scared, I'll just bless one. And you know that I'm the solo whiz, so Eric B, make 'em clap to this. 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 I don't bug out or chill or be acting ill. No tricks in 86, it's time to build. Eric be easy on the cut, no mistakes allowed. Cause to me, MC means move the crowd. I made it easy to dance to this. But can you detect what's coming next from the flex of the wrist? Say indeed, then I'll proceed. Cause my man made a mix. If he bleed, he won't need no band-aid to fix his fingertips. So I'm rhyming till there's no rhymes left. I hurry up because the cut'll make him bleed to death. But he's kicking it, cause it ain't no half-stepping. The party is live, the rhyme can't be kept inside of me's erupting just like a volcano. It ain't the everyday style or the same old rhyme, cause I'm better than the rest of them. Every B is on the cut, and my name is Rakim. Make 'em clap to this. Make 'em clap to this.
Special mix. Special mix.
Make 'em clap to this. Make 'em clap to this. Make 'em clap to this. Make 'em clap, go get a girl and get soft and warm. Don't get excited, you've been invited to a quiet storm. But now it's out of hand, cause you told me you hate me. And then you asked, what have I done lately? First you said, all you want is love and affection. Let me be your angel and I'll be your protection. Take you out and buy you all kinds of things. Make 'em clap to this. Call the attitude, you need food to eat up. I'm scheming like I'm dreaming on the couch with my feet up. You scream, I'm lazy, you must be crazy. Thought I was a donut, you tried to glaze me. Make 'em clap to this. 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 Now that made it easy to dance to this. But can you detect what's coming next from the flex of the wrist? Say indeed, then I'll proceed, cause my man made a mix. If he bleed, he won't need no band-aid to fix it. Every B is on the cut, and my name is Rakim. Nasty. Make 'em clap to this. 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 Make 'em clap to this.
Okay, we're back. And I hope you enjoyed the track. And we were talking about Libya. You know, Libya is a key display of American imperialism. I'm going to say it because that's pretty much what it is. You know, and it's a U.S. through proxy armies, and proxy armies are a real slick way of promoting regime change. And a lot of these individuals who are so-called, part of the Arab uprising, right, the revolution, are not part of any revolution. They're part of empire building. So revolutions assume that the downtrodden, the oppressed, rise up against the powers. That's a revolution. But this is no revolution whatsoever, because you had, the majority of casualties, other than the brutal, way they killed Gaddafi. You had black African immigrants and the darkest skinned of Libyans being targeted. So it just builds upon what Ojo was saying, and I know Ojo wants to build a little bit more on that.
Yeah, thanks, Jose. You know what? I really believe that the war in Libya was really a war where America exported their ugly brand of, American apartheid racism to Libya, and they killed many, many dark skins. These are Africans they killed. And the irony of this is the order and authorization was done by a man that actually has heritage from the continent of Africa. So this is a full circle coming around. You can't get any sweeter for the forces of imperialism than that.
And let me say something on that. They actually crowned Gaddafi King of Africa. I believe it was in Kenya. I believe in Kenya that some elders crowned him King of Africa. So, Ojo, I mean, there's something real shady going on here.
I want to give some props out right now. I think they're really, really necessary to two brothers I want to say are keepers of the torch, for the brothers' torch, black or brown, of really keeping the spirit of we see injustice, we speak out on it, and we report it. Glenn Ford and Bruce Dixon of the Black Agenda Report. You guys need to check them out. They're spitting some truth out there. But as far as this irony is concerned, I want to say that during the time the bombing was going on in Libya, there was a man by the name of Donald Fauntleroy, the Reverend Fauntleroy. He used to be a delegate at large from Washington, D.C., the U.S. Congress. He took a fact-finding mission to Libya during the time this bombing was going on. It was reported that he went through a village in somewhere south of Tripoli, and he saw actual massacres. Many dark-skinned Libyans, i.e. Africans, were getting beheaded and slaughtered. And he came back to America and was going to hold a press conference in Washington, D.C. to report what he saw. At the last minute, he canceled his press conference. This is the day and age we live in. The day and age we live in when people see massacres and genocide and they don't speak out on them. And speaking of that, the genocide and massacres, there's an ongoing massacre in the Congo right now. Over 6 million Congolese have died since 1996. We don't hear the reporters, the Fourth Estate, which is the press, reporting about Congolese. You know why? Because in American jargon, those people are others. I guess like they're 3/5 of people, like blacks were, slaves were counted in the U.S. Constitution. They don't count. But you know what? All the technology that you get for your computers, the chips for your cell phones, come from tantalum, which is mined in the Congo, and that's why you have Burundi, the president of Burundi, and the president of Uganda are war criminals supported by Western Europe and the United States in a corporate structure. They set up shop in Congo, killing people so they can keep these resources flowing to U.S. and Western European corporations. We're living in a bad time. There's always another genocide around the corner. And those that speak out on it, they're subject to be silenced, or other words, not non-functioning anymore. We're living in an age where freedom of expression and telling the truth are at short sight. I think it was Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, once said, "The truth is a lie repeated over and over and over." Well, that's the truth we're living in now, and I want you people to consider that every time you watch the news, whether it's ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, all that garbage. It's all a bunch of garbage. You got to get your sources from other places. Black Agenda Report, Information Clearinghouse, and then still think critically about what you're reading, because a lot of it can misguide you. But with those people on the TV news, they're not telling the truth. Like Paul Craig Roberts, the former Assistant Secretary of State under Reagan, said he uses the term for the Fourth Estate, the press. He calls them, they're working for the man, whether it's, Fox News, whether it's CBS, Viacom, ABC, Walt Disney, or NBC, Comcast. They're all working for the man. So that makes them, they're out there on the block selling lies. That makes them prostitutes.
That's exactly right, Ojo. So you dropped a lot right there, Ojo. And it's exactly right. And I think, and props to him for giving credit to Bruce Dixon and Glenn Ford. I mean, actually a lot of their articles, we read and we support and we promote as much as we can, because we believe that's the truth. A lot of the, what they write is they well research everything, and they put it out there for you, so donate to them, make sure that, you're supporting these alternative sources, because, they have nothing, nothing to gain. They're telling you the truth because they want to build a better society. They want to make sure that black Africans and all oppressed minorities and all oppressed people, have a say and have a chance at living a decent life. Being able to afford food, being able to have, a safe place to stay, being able to have food, and we have to understand, me as a Puerto Rican, as a person who's considered a Latino, right? We have to understand as Latinos and as Hispanics that without the Black African struggle, we are not who we are. That's part of our identity. So, it really hurts me when, when Latinos say, oh, well, I'm indigenous, I'm this, I'm European, I'm this and this and that, when ignoring the fact that if it wasn't for African culture, and African genetics and African identity, Latin America will not be what it is. So I think we have to, face that as Latin Americans and understand that our struggle is shared. Our struggle is the same, and we're fighting the same powers, and until those powers, are toppled, until those powers, come down and, resign from oppressing thousands of people, not just Latinos and Africans, but even Europeans, are we all going to be free, and can we all, shake each other's hand and go out for a beer and just have a life like human beings are supposed to have? Human beings like to enjoy life. They like to go out and dance, like to, drink, beers or whatever, and, modify their enjoyment, whether it's through beer or activity or recreation. But that's taken away from a lot of working class and poor people because you don't have time to enjoy life. You're working all day. You're watching your kids, So this is one thing that we have to understand. And this is why we're telling you this. This is why we're bringing the global scope of what's going on. And, we're trying to dissect the presidential election so you guys will understand what you're voting for or what you're not voting for. So I hope you guys appreciate this, and we have nothing to gain in this. We appreciate any support and support the ones that are really out there in the trenches. This is, if you don't believe that this is a war against the poor, then you haven't been doing your research, because any person who studies social science knows there's been a war against the poor since this country has started, and there's been a process of making certain individuals poor, i.e. indigenous people, the native, more than 300 nations that existed here, when the colonists arrived. Same thing in Africa. How many tribes have been split up by the colonial process. So we have to understand this is a common theme, even in Europe, But Europe now stands at the top of the mountain, right? And it considered to dictate how other nations should run their economy, right? And usually it's a neoliberal capitalist form. So and even if they include some forms of socialism, it's usually not benefiting, the poorest of the poor. And I think that's why we should understand politics and understand all aspects of it. What do you think of that, Ojo?
I want to agree with Jose, and I want to add something. When people talk about the marketplace and modernity and development, I want to leave you. I want to tell you this cautionary anecdote. It's very, very important to understand that one human's nightmare is another human's dream. So the dream they have of the marketplace, technology, microchips and everything else, that might be the nightmare of where they're getting it from. Mass death, genocide. But as long as you have your little things, next time you're out and you get on a public transportation or you're on a street corner or whatever, look at how many people are looking down at their laptop or their iPhone and totally detached from everything. How are we going to wake up and see that there's a cost for everything? And that cost is paid heavily in blood. And this has been ever since the advent of the time historically when Europe came out of its medieval time and started its age of exploration, put that in quotations, and the start of their mercantilism. And from their mercantilism to the Industrial Revolution that probably started in the middle of the 18th century, this has been a period of great destruction of the globe, i.e. nature, the natural environment, with all the cause for accumulation of capital. This invention of capital has caused untrue suffering of humans, the environment, and when is it going to stop? And the process was known as mercantilism, which morphed into capitalism, and they want this to go on unchallenged. Well, you know, we all live in a natural world, and natural laws will prevail in the end, not artificial social constructions, i.e. race, i.e. all these other attributes of science, you know, the theories of superiority, i.e. white supremacy, i.e. black inferiority, anything that you want to call normative, which I mean by normative is what you want to consider to be regularly accepted as fact. You must question all of that. Think critically. The ability to think critically is what causes solutions. And solutions are, we need a solution for capitalism. That's the number one thing. It's going to run this earth down. There won't be any more earth. But the common thing, before I hand it back to Jose, is when we're making our profit, it doesn't matter about what happens later on down the road, because I'll be dead by then. It doesn't matter. But as soon as I'm here right now, I got, like my buddy Tupac said, my man Tupac said, I got to get mine, you got to get yours. That's callous.
Yeah, that was a good track. MC Breed too. Yeah, so all right, we're gonna, you know, and on that note, we'll probably take a break and play that track. So we'll be back.
Gotta get yours, I gotta get mine. Yeah, Breed, gotta get yours, I gotta get mine. In the house, you gotta get yours, I gotta get mine. 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 Get yours. Hey, you as smooth as I wanna be, but with me you's a goner.
Oh, that's the way it is.
Fuck yeah, and that's the way it's gonna be. Why? Puffin' up on the dank and drinking mad brew. Taking names and after that I'm kicking ass to breathe. Time to flow.
Can I get a rhyme to go?
Hey, yeah, Pac, and I'll sit back, spit up, design it slow. They hate to see a young nigga come up, another punk run up, he'll have to get his gun up, cause I ain't taking no shorts like a Newport for exploding the floor like Jordan exploding on the hoop court. And I don't wanna be nothing like Mike, cause even Mike was like it's an itty bitty wet trifling. And when you in the spotlight, you get jock right, but you're not tight, huh? Bucking anybody who fuck with mine. When will they realize I'm straight out to get mine? You gotta get yours, I gotta get mine. 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 Get yours.
I keep my mind on my money, money on my mind. Finger on the trigger, nigga, hand on my nine. Smoking blunts of skunk, making holes of pumps, and only underground funk pumping out of my trunk. Live the life of a hustler, high till I die. Meeting bitches, getting riches, miss me with lies. Picture me living out my life as a buster. I'd rather pop up a shot from my Glock and blast motherfuckers. I live a thug life, baby, I'm hopeless. Choking off endo, trying to keep my focus. Don't let that bullshit worry me. Fuck the fame, I'm true to the game till they bury me. God gave me game, so I'm hustling. Pour out some liquor for my niggas. Tupac is still struggling. My nigga Breed knew the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's rhyme or crime, nigga, I gotta get mine.
I gotta get mine. You gotta get yours. 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 I gotta get mine. Now tell me, can you measure the amount of applause I keep getting every time I pick up a mic and start spitting? The sidewalks in New York and start bumping, jumping around with the motherfucking pound, and I'm down to the fullest. And break a nigga's ass off, Papa, did I shock you? Cause I got you in my pocket again. The New Jackson, knew me and my niggas when I used to run it way back when. I boasted and roasted and coasted to the pinnacle because of what I do with a pen. It's vernacular precision, connected two lines in its division. Plus, when I had loose and flutes, it's guaranteed to sell like prostitutes. I never had a love for hoes, to put it blunt. They want me in the back, but bitch I'm in the front, don't front. And really I don't need a reply. Pull yourself together. other ass, you pass me by. I'm on a whole nother level. Them hoes is left. I told you before, keep your pussy to yourself. Goodbye. So many niggas lied to have. It's funny what a motherfucker do for math. I got fractions caught up in my everyday actions. Point equal to your real satisfaction. Fucking anybody who fuck with mine. When will they realize I'm straight out to get mine? You gotta get yours, I gotta get mine. 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 You gotta get yours. Yeah, nigga. 1983, you better handle your business, girl. You better get what's coming to you, and you ain't never gonna find it. You know what I'm saying? In this life.
All right, we're back for the last segment, and we gave you guys a lot out there, and I hope you guys, if you guys vote or do not vote, I hope you still think about what we said and you think about how these processes work, because they're complex, but at the same time, you can simplify them, for your own individual choice, if you think you have an individual choice, if you individually vote, are you considering the collective? Are you considering all of us? Is that what it means to be an American citizen? Are you a global citizen? These are the questions that you have to ask when you vote, because this is what you're voting for. You're voting for bombing little kids in Afghanistan. You're voting for a kid in, living in the projects, right, who has no place to live now because the area got gentrified, or the area got, they're putting them in subsidized housing, but it's different to where his friends live. And, he's probably getting harassed by the neighborhood cats out there because they don't know him. So this is what's real. So that's what you're voting for. So, Ojo, what do you think they should consider in in this election now, and when they're going in and voting or not voting? What should they consider?
I'm going to tell you, Jose, I believe that right now on this question of voting, you have to ask yourself, what candidate best mirrors your values, your internal values, how you view the world, what you want the world to be like now in the future. Are you building your career? Are you unemployed? What are your internal values as a human being? Drop all the labels. Which candidate is it that you support, whose vision you would like to live in a society if it came to fruition? Now, if we take those into consideration, what candidate best mirrors a system or a structure which will ensure that we have a more harmonious future with less killing and stuff? Do you support wars? Are you against wars? Do you support labelings of people, i.e., as terrorists, or do you investigate what is more than what the press reports about people? These are all a fact of critical thinking. We need more critical thinkers in a world like this today. And that's the main thing I want to say. Think with that critical eye. And let me give you an analogy what I mean by that critical eye. When you're sitting at ground level, you can look around you, the horizon, you see 360 and stuff. With that is just the level. That's looking at any field level. We want the bird's eye view where you're perched up there looking down, just like the eagle and the hawk is when they hunt. The eagle and the hawk, when they hunt, they see everything. That's the view you need when when critical thinking. That's what I mean. That's what they don't want you to have, because then when you're up there at the perch, you can see all the inconsistencies, and that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. What the fourth estate, i.e. the media, reports. Think with that critical eye, and that's the main thing I want to tell you right now. Back to Jose.
Yes, it's a good way to look at it, Ojo, and don't let people don't let the media and the way the political process works make you think that there's winners and losers, there's predators and prey, because the human being is the ultimate predator. It's the ultimate species. We're the dominant species on this planet. So, why are certain sections of the dominant species destroying other sections of the dominant species? What's really going on? So this is what you really have to look at. Why are they trying to eliminate certain populations out of the gene pool? Through war, through famine, through poverty. These are things you have to think about. Because if you think about evolution, survival of the fittest, or if you're a religious person, it's the same. You come to the same conclusion. Who are the ones being excluded? Who are the ones being shut out of the survival process? Why? If we're all the same species, if we're all dominant species on this planet. And I'll tell you, if other animals can talk, they'll tell you who the dominant species is. They'll tell you who's destroying their lands, who's taking their lands, and who's manipulating them for profit. They'll tell you. So anyway, but we're gonna be gone for now, and I hope you guys think about that. And I don't know, Ojo, you got any closing words?
I got one closing word that I want to say, and what I want to say is that we need to really, really drop all these labels, all these regards, whatever your faith is, whether it's religious or spiritual. We have to really, really get down to the base level and realize we are all human beings. There's 6 billion plus human beings on this planet. And I don't mean in terms of race. There is no race. There's only one race, the human race. We need to start attacking these human labels which give justification for dehumanization of people. We need to drop those, and anywhere where we see this dehumanization happening, we need to use that critical thought, as I said previously, that bird's eye view up on the ledge looking down to pick out these places. And we need to, our main goal right now is to eradicate all these socially constructed inequalities which lead to very, very bad situations of genocide, racism, ecosystem degradation. We need to stop that, because we're at a point in the evolution of the planet, in the history of social history, where if we don't make the right decisions now within this next century, this is a key century, we're going to be faced with consequences which are irreversible. And when they're irreversible, they're going to look back on us. It was our watch when things fell apart. You keep that in mind, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.
All right, peace, everyone, and we hope the people on the East Coast are doing all right. They're dealing with a lot, and we just hope that you all make some good decisions out there, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll be able to do another podcast. We'll be seeing you back after the elections, so we'll see what happens, and be safe out there. Peace.